for profitability, I really honestly just focus on Google Sheets, EverHour, and Data Slayer. So Data Slayer helps tie in all of the agents, the account spend. I have ad spend documents for every client. All of those import into one master agency document because we bill on a percent of ad spend. And so I'm constantly looking at forecasting what will be coming in for the year, for the quarter. And so I need to make sure those are all tying in daily for real-time updates. EverHour ties into Basecamp. And I know that this is a dirty thing that not everyone likes to say, but time tracking, it is essential. And even the three of us, we still time track. Some of us better than others, but sorry, Jason, I love you. I always add a percentage of, with all of Jason's time, we would be here. So I'm just kidding, Jay, I love you. But it's important because this like crazy master document that I have, it breaks down approximately what it would work out to for hourly, how many hours then that means that we would have to work on a client. And then every week and every month, I am checking in to see, are we on track? Are we off track? For the most part, we're super profitable with everybody, but it also allows me to see where are the time sucks. Do I need to be keeping an eye on this to talk to clients of like, hey, we need to get better with our process. The review process is taking too long. We're going through too many rounds of revisions. How can we get better nailing what you're looking for right off the bat? Anything like that. Or, we have some clients who like lots of pop-up meetings. Hey, can you hop on for 5 minutes? And all of a sudden that happens multiple times a week and we have no time left to do actual work. So it just helps us stay honest. And then also for us to be able to forecast and see, we had a client leave the end of the summer, and the three of us made a concerted decision looking at the forecasting. We'd rather have a little bit better balance, especially knowing we're going into Q4, gives us more time to focus on anyone. We don't need to fill that back in right now. We're happy where we are. But we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have the time tracking for capacity and planning and making sure that we were all in agreement that we look fine, we're happy where we are. And once we get through Q4, then we can look at adding back on if we want.
So one question on that, Allie. I feel like it's a bit easier to do that when you're 3 people versus, 16, which is where we're at now. So how would you recommend thinking about that aside from, because candidly, like time tracking scares me. And I also am cognizant of if I'm not willing to do something, I cannot expect my employees to do it, right? Just like any other process. And so outside of time tracking and outside of having conversations with individual employees about bandwidth, how would you recommend thinking about that through the lens of, we should take on another client or we shouldn't?
Well, I mean, honestly, we're the 3 of us now, but when we owned former agencies and there were more like 10 of us, I still did that. I've just kept these processes and keep refining them. It is one of it's a firm stance, but I feel like you have no idea exactly what is happening and how to plan if you're not time tracking. And so maybe there's a different way around that. I honestly haven't found it yet. This is the easiest, most straightforward way. Even if you ask people to kind of chunk their days, you're going to work depending on the roles. I know Friday mornings, I do the billing and invoicing. That's my morning for doing that sort of stuff. Have your chunks of time. I only do meetings Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Mondays and Fridays are housekeeping sort of days for all the business stuff. But it's really important. And, even with, especially with 16 team members, you need to know how to forecast and plan. What can people handle? Can they actually handle more? Are you being as efficient as you possibly can? We used to run into this all the time where people would talk about being burned out and they're so exhausted and they're so tired, you know. But if you aren't able to kind of pinpoint where those time sucks are happening, then it's hard to resolve that. And so part of the conversation is talking to people of like, I want to help you. I want to make your days better. I want to make sure you're as efficient as possible. So maybe it's even an exercise. Let's take a week, track your time for a week. Let's see if we can identify any areas. And then maybe that's a good like training wheel, toe in the water sort of, can you actually do time tracking?
Yeah. And we've done that when we believe that there are inefficiencies, and it's always been calls and agenda writing. That's been the biggest time suck. And it was a learned experience from newer joiners watching me on calls and seeing that I wrote like 6 pages and then thinking that was the status quo. And then it's like, okay, they're learning through osmosis. I need to dial back my agendas, right? And riff on things a little bit more. And yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I have flashbacks to my days at like large agencies and time tracking and just being like, oh, I have to do this, you know, at the end of the week. And
I mean, but honestly, what we also do is we don't track time for internal time. We track time for client stuff only, because leaving agency life, that was another thing of, you know, we don't want to have to do this for like literally every breath that we take. This is stuff, and part of it is just shifting the mind. Like if I all of a sudden am starting to feel like, ooh, I'm spending a lot of time on the business and not on the clients, then I'll start to track for myself and I'll like self-edit. But that's more just awareness of, I feel more pinched than usual. I'm going to track my own time for this other stuff. But I think that could honestly, I would try that. What I also love is EverHour ties into Basecamp. So every task that we do, it makes it super easy with Chrome. You can literally just click the green button and it will start tracking time for that task. And then you don't have to worry about it. You turn it off and it's automatic there. It's not like you have to keep a timesheet or anything else like that. It's literally just like these tasks. And the way that I do the tasks too, I don't try to make it so that it's so much project management for myself with all the tasks. I literally will have monthly tasks that automatically update for every single month for us, where it's client communication, it's meetings, agendas. That's something that we all like to talk a lot, clearly. And what we do is we've honed it down because we notice like they gloss over. They're not listening. We might think all of this data is super interesting and we would pivot off of it and we would do these things. But ultimately, are they getting the same out of that? So we've streamlined our agendas. What's working? What's not working? What changes are we making? Let's look at the upcoming planning. And we focus on those things and then leave a lot of time for just talking.
Yeah, I think the interesting part about that protocol is like every client is different. You have one client that is super well versed in the D2C ecosystem that wants to get very nitty gritty, and then you have others that, to your point, just gloss over and really don't care, right? One thing that we don't do is QBRs. We never will. I think they're the biggest time suck, and you know, working at an agency, you dread the end of the quarter because of it, and clients never pay attention. They're like, you're just pounding your chest, look how great we are. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to think about that. Maybe by the time we see each other in New York, I will have implemented time tracking. I'll keep you posted on that.
Absolutely. And I'm always happy, like if you just DM me, I'm happy to hop on and like walk through some things that we have, if it's helpful too, just to sort of see, because like that client that you're talking about, that's super focused. Hopefully you're able to tell that what you're getting paid from them allows for all that extra time that you need to spend for them.